Go live, go live. All right, we're going live, which means we're probably already live.
Yes, it probably does.
And we're live officially now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gravity Max live stream. Today, we are going to finish yesterweek's episode about the Kardashev Scale.
Yep. So last time we got through Kardashev 0 from to where we are now, to Kardashev 1, to Kardashev 2. So we're going to be doing from 3 up all the way to the top of the scale, and we'll be wrapping it up today.
Yeah, so it'll be a quick little episode, and this is like the penultimate topic episode.
Yes.
For this season. Next episode will be fun.
Next episode's gonna be super fun.
Yeah, the little civilizations at the end of the universe.
At the end.
I think that's a nice spooky concept. So, yeah, let's jump right into it. So we'll just do the plugs again.
Yep.
Because we gotta advertise.
Man.
So, visit Gravity Max website, gravitymaxmedia.com. We have cool stuff there. Follow Gravity Max on social media. That gives you updates on things, like if we're starting at a different time. Like today, we started an hour early.
Kind of.
And I'm going to die on that hill. Because daylight savings. You didn't need an update for that, though. But what else about this stuff? Yeah, just go check it out. Also, check out last episode, because at least the first part of last episode, where we talk about the scale itself, I should have time-stamped that, but I didn't really have time to do that. So I'll get that done shortly. But go back, maybe not. Well, I guess you kind of do have to go back like right now if you haven't caught the first one. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If you haven't seen...
Stick around, because if
you watch, but like they won't get it. I don't think they'll get it.
If you watch this one, then you can go back and Tarantino it, and it makes it for a more cinematic storytelling,
like a flashback.
Experience. Exactly.
That's true. So, if you guys are fans of Quentin Tarantino, yes, you can go. You can stay here and do that. All right. So next, we've got follow Sebastian on social media, Instagram and YouTube, 128 seconds. He's got short educational videos, very high quality. I like the one about Elon Musk.
Thank you.
The most recent one, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was fun to make, because I love doing news stories. I definitely want to do more news stories, and I'm putting them in the cycle. Again, I did just officially change it to every other week.
Okay.
But I'm looking
Sensible.
forward to making more videos, and the channel growth has been awesome.
Yeah. So go check that out. Support his channel. It's really great. Like really great videos. So yeah. All right. So next, a bottle to flame.
We didn't make a slide for Govern Max. We need to do that.
Yeah, we didn't. Whatever. I am too tired.
We keep forgetting every episode. We're like. Should we make a slide for that? Nope, it completely just, we do not remember.
Yeah, well, I took the SAT yesterday, and I don't know, I think pollen is acting up.
Yeah.
So I just feel, like the Walking Dead right now. Decrepit Wojak. Yes. But go read my book, because I want you to. It's on Amazon.
Orwellian.
Science fiction. Orwellian. You must read the book. A Bottle to Flame. It's the sequel to A Truly Dead Rock, so you should probably read that too. And in about a month and a half, hopefully, I'll get the third book out, so you'll have to read that as well, of course. So yeah, that'll be fun. We got to do a slide for that too. We have 2 slides that we need to make. Anyway, we live in a society.
We do.
So.
And that's all that needs to be said. Thank you guys so much for watching.
So we live in a society that does things like changing time on everyone for some reason. I don't like daylight savings time. I'm just going to, right now.
What could have clued me in?
What could have clued you in? It is it's nonsensical. It defies logic.
Do you wanna allot 2 minutes for the daylight savings rant?
No, I'm just gonna say it doesn't actually save any money.
Mm.
There you go. It doesn't actually save any money.
Mm.
It just causes like problems, gums up the works. So that's objectively it like actually causes problems. Like Monday after daylight savings is like this daylight savings is like the spring ahead one
Mm.
is the day with the most heart attacks
Ooh.
and suicides. So
Wow.
yeah, not good. Objectively not good. And so then also, this is just a third point, and this is just for this really only applies to myself and maybe a few other people. It's not mathematically nice, okay? You can't just skip 1 hour. Like I don't like it. 1:59 to 3 p.m. that or 3 a.m. That does not. It's not good. Okay. You can't just tuck it away during the night and think we won't notice. We all notice. So those are my 3 points. Point one, its supposed benefits aren't actually like panning out.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it causes a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
And three, I don't like the mathematics. So that's all I have to say about that.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, that's my essay. That's in this essay I will.
It's pending board approval.
Pending board approval. So yeah, so we talked about the Kardashev scale last time. I guess I'll just briefly say a type 1 civilization is like a planetary civilization. A type 2 civilization is a solar civilization that has all the access to all the energy in its sun. And then type 3 is galactic. So let's go to type 3. That's where we're at.
Oh, we're going through societies.
Oh,
all
yeah.
Of history unfolding before us.
Yeah, just interstellar theme plays.
Yep.
Okay, so Kardashev 3. This is a galactic level civilization that has access to the energy output of an entire galaxy. So this is a kind of tricky one to quantify, I would say. Like, in terms of the Kardashev scale, the solar level, like type 2 civilization, I would say is the easiest one to quantify in terms of energy because it's very straightforward. It's just the sun. It's the star. The star is what's creating all the energy. Or not creating, but, well, it is creating energy, actually. Turning mass into energy, but that energy did not exist before. Physics people are like semantics right now.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so the sun is the one generating all the energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty easy to measure. But so there are some interpretations for Kardashev 3. You could either say it's all of the active stars in a galaxy, but at the same time, there's a lot of interstellar gas. And if you were to like scoop that up, you know, get a giant like a snowplow except in space, right? That would just go through and like collect up all the hydrogen and then use it as nuclear fusion fuel, you could increase the output of the galaxy and, you know, get more energy for the civilization. But this is all about orders of magnitude and stuff, and it's like the difference between any two types is a factor of 10 billion. So, you know, a little dust here and there, even if it like multiplies the output of the galaxy by a factor of 10, that's still just 0.1 difference on the Kardashev scale. Kardashev scale is really like scaled down. It's very like small steps on the Kardashev scale are very large. So yeah, let's start with the domain here. So the domain obviously is an entire galaxy. I mean, there you go.
Yeah,
that's the Andromeda Galaxy right there.
Yeah. Talking about our galaxy, I've been pretty satisfied with it.
Yeah.
I've never liked the name. I'm gonna be honest.
Never liked the name.
Let me be clear. I don't like the name, the Milky Way Galaxy.
Yeah, Andromeda is just more elegant.
Andromeda is a fantastic name for a galaxy, for a star, for a character. I'm sure. I think it was in Greek myth. I think Perseus saved her from a sea beast or something. But you know, that's cool. So that's cool.
You know, Andromeda is on a collision course with the Milky Way, and they're gonna like fuse together. Do you know what the name is for the combined
Am I going to
galaxy.
be happy or am I going to be angry, Max?
I don't think you're going to be happy.
Lay it on me.
Milkomeda.
Mm, God, it sounds like a Canadian milk company.
Yep.
It's
That is the
horrible.
proposed name that astronomers have come up with. Or maybe cosmo. I don't know which branch exactly, but
I,
someone's come up with it.
yeah, I hope someone outside of the scientific field.
Yeah, we should. Scientists should probably outsource naming to
Honestly,
like
they're so bad at it. They're
maybe to
so bad
like.
at it.
I
To
don't know. Who would
writers,
you outsource it to?
to like
Writers.
writers,
Yeah, writers works.
or
I was thinking about
historians.
yeah, I was thinking about historians,
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure historians also have something of a reputation for sometimes like not good naming conventions.
yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
so
Like
I think
they'll name time
historians
periods
and
like
scientists,
poorly.
yeah, like I think historians and scientists need to outsource their naming
Yeah,
to anyone else.
I should
So,
think of a cool name for the Milky Way galaxy.
cool name.
I don't
I
know,
would say something like Sagittarius,
along
because
those lines.
Sagittarius is where the center is. So you could try and name it something like
That'd be cool.
Andromeda is only called Andromeda because it's in the Andromeda constellation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, officially it's what M33, I think, Messier 33. Uh, it's just this guy Messier was like he made a catalog of these objects, but
Yeah,
anyway.
Messier 31.
31. Okay, I got it wrong. 33 is probably like that small one in the foreground. You see that? Like
Yeah,
beneath it in that picture. I don't know.
Messier 33.
Yeah.
That is the Triangulum Galaxy.
Oh, the Triangulum is pretty. Triangulum is the third largest galaxy in our local group.
Very nice.
So, yeah. Anyway, so the domain is an entire galaxy, and that comes with everything that entails. So, a galaxy is about 100,000 light years across.
Hmm.
So, if you're a civilization, it would be difficult. Like, what do you like? How could you even call something a civilization if it takes 100,000 years to communicate with itself?
Yeah, this is the point where things get so big that things need to get smaller in terms of
Yeah.
communities. Again, I really do see the people that have strong communal values and want to stick together, they're going to stick together. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get like a big populated area, like kind of like a big city, and then outside of it it's more like you could think of it as being rural, just people setting up shop wherever they want with a bunch of their friends or whomever, their families, and they're just kind of doing their own thing. But they still go to the main populated area to supply if that's even necessary, because Kardashev 3 is definitely post scarcity, right?
Mm. Yeah.
With
Well,
the
post
power of the
scarcity, I always
galaxy.
say, is kind of relative
Yeah.
because, like, absolute post scarcity would require infinite resources.
Mm-hmm.
But post scarcity, like, colloquially, is that there's like the supply of resources is so much greater than the population could ever need. So it's
That's
effectively
fair.
post scarcity. But usually, what happens when there is post scarcity is that it becomes scarcity again because the population just reproduces and grows.
Yes.
It grows to fit like a population of like a bacterium, in like a petri dish. It'll
Yeah.
always grow to fit the resources in the petri dish. So yeah, but again, it's a lot of power.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just so these sort of like cosmological time concerns begin to factor into Kardashev 3 civilizations. However, that might be countered by the fact that they would probably have vast life extension technology.
Yes.
And if they don't at this point, they could simply dedicate one of their billions of stars, just basically set up a Dyson sphere, right? We've talked about Dyson spheres a lot, but set up a Dyson sphere and have that Dyson sphere essentially just be a giant computer. So all of the energy of a star dedicated to a giant computer. Imagine the sheer processing power that something like that could have. It would be the smartest being in the universe, essentially, if it were an AI. So if you don't have radical life extension technology at this point, you might as well, literally, someone will just say, like, oh, just put one of the stars on it. Because again, if you have like a billion stars, I forget the exact number, but it's a lot. It's around there, right? Um, I think it's like 100 billion. If you have 100 billion stars in your
In the
galaxy,
Milky Way galaxy?
yeah, I believe so.
How many stars?
If you, but it doesn't matter. It could be 1,000 times less than that, and my point still stands here.
100,000 million, which is...
So yeah, 100 billion.
Yeah, 100 billion.
Think about that. That is 100 billion, the society as a whole. So think of like, I don't know, like Bill Gates level of money, $1, right? Relatively speaking. So $1 to Bill Gates is 1 star to this entire society, to a Kardashev 3 civilization. So any sort of technological problem within the laws of physics that they want, and possibly some without the laws of physics, it's going to get solved. Anything that can be done within physics, I imagine at this point, will be solved. You'll just have like a big computer sector where you have all the computers chugging away at those problems, and
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
because
sort of like a Silicon Valley.
Exactly. Because if you go back to when we hit Kardashev 1, that's mastery of our planet. So the planet's resources, all of that, we master it, which means that we'll have a much better handle on global warming, because now we can be fully efficient with the resources we have on the planet. So that's kind of like mastery over the environment / biology. And then you go up to Kardashev 2, and you get a lot of more like civilizations around the solar system, and possibly harvesting stuff off of the sun, and the nuclear fusion. So that's more nuclear chemistry. So again, now we get full mastery of chemistry, and then Kardashev 3, we're getting full mastery of physics. So it's interesting to see that progression. We also have chat from Daikaiju Productions.
Oh yes, he suggests a possible name for the merger. What about Milky Andromeda?
I would pose. I have a counter offer. Daikaiju Productions. What if I broke into your home?
Oh no. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's anything containing both milk and Andromeda.
I don't know.
Well, really, just anything containing milk, I think, is non-salvageable.
Yeah, what drugs were they on when they first observed the galaxy, and they were like, "It looks like someone spilled milk." No, it doesn't.
Let me just say, you're not gonna like this. What I'm about to say. The word galaxy comes from the Greek word lactose, milk.
Oh. Because
they were like, oh, this thing that goes across the sky, the Milky Way galaxy, like they made the association to milk there, and so that sort of carries on. And then once we started observing other galaxies, we're like, oh, it's like the milk thing.
So are you telling me that the name of our galaxy is the Milky Way milk?
Pretty much. It's the Milky Way, Milky Way.
Oh my god. We really live, our entire galaxy is the Milky Way.
There's something like that, yeah.
I give up. I quit science. I'm done. This is the final straw.
This is the final straw. Yeah.
Good lord.
No, we need... Yeah.
Good grief.
I think a rebranding to something like Sagittarius, but gotta like... Something like...
I don't know. We should just...
Cool and sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Sagittarius, like something based on Sagittarius.
Sagitton. Something like that.
Sagitton.
Sagitron.
Sagitta?
No, like Tron. Like...
Yeah, I know.
Like an Autobot.
Sagitron. I don't know about that. I don't know. It doesn't really fit like a galaxy.
All right, well, shoot down my ideas.
I'm just saying personally.
You just absolute buzzkill. Just wrecking my party. I set them up, you knock them down.
Yep.
I didn't ask for them to be knocked down. You're just a tyrant.
I don't know. Maybe like Sagittarium.
Sagittarium? The Sagittarium Galaxy. That kind of sounds nice. All right, I'll agree to that.
That's what I'm saying. Sagittarium.
Much better than the goddamn Milky Way.
Milky milk. Yes. But anyway, so what else? But yeah, the computers, these societies will very quickly figure out anything within known physics that they
Mm-hmm.
want to do, anything that they want done that is physically possible. They'll just have their Silicon Valley go for it.
Yes.
Um, and they'll very quickly figure it out. So once they've essentially figured everything out, then the real question is this sort of long haul possibility that these computers that they have just sort of lying around that have like solved every problem within physics, they're like, okay, well, maybe let's start chugging away at possibilities to break the laws of physics, or realistically possibilities of where physics might be wrong, because physics, our understanding of the universe, has been wrong before. Isaac Newton, right, just his laws of gravity were slightly wrong. They were for the most part right. Like they were incredibly accurate. That's why it was adopted as a theory. But it was slightly wrong in the orbit of Mercury. And Einstein's theory corrected that. So we observed like, oh yes, this fits with the orbit of Mercury. So there might be like extenuating circumstances that we don't fully understand right now, like say particle physics, particle physics and general relativity don't vibe well together. So there might actually be some further like exceptions to physics that we might find in the future. Like it's sort of, you can't say that now we know everything, right? We don't know everything. And so there might be ways around physics, which is like weird to think about, and there might not be. But my point here is that once you've solved everything else and you still have these computers lying around, you might as well. Like, what else are you going to do with them? You might as well just say, like, figure out faster than light travel. That would make things easier. I mean, the incentive would be there because if you have a galactic civilization, anyone that figures out faster than light travel would be, I don't know, quadrillionaire, quintillionaire. Like, the scales are massive here. You would be the wealthiest person, the most powerful person, if you figured out faster than light travel, because after all, it's 100,000 years to get across the galaxy.
That'd make
slower
a good
than
movie.
light. Yeah, so it's like
because we get a lot of movies about guys that have already done that, like Thomas Edison biopic, or Nikola Tesla, all that stuff, or the guys that figured out how to calculate the distance of the sun, or stuff like that. It'd be really interesting to kind of turn that on its head, get something in the future with the race for FTL travel. That would
future
be a really
biopic.
Future biopic.
Yeah.
And if you
Fictional
call
biopic.
it, you will become a quadrillionaire, regardless of
Exactly.
how well the movie does.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really interesting, this sort of galactic civilization. Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, as you kind of alluded to when we started, society will be pretty much. I think it'll be so distinct from the society today, just because of
unrecognizable.
Yeah, I would say so. Just because you have each individual person has so much more power than we do currently. Each individual person would have more power than the current human race does. And that's
a fair assessment, yeah.
It's an incredibly difficult thing to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
But in Kardashev 3, there's so many resources out there that, again, each individual person is more powerful than every country combined.
Every person alive today could have their own star.
Yeah.
And there would still be billions left over.
Yeah.
So think about that. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, we can head on over to capabilities.
Yeah, capabilities.
As we were kind of leading into.
So capabilities, we've got two things here. We've got the Matryoshka brain, which is the giant computer. That's what that's referred to as. And then you've also got something called a Kugelblitz black hole, which is an energy storage device, I would say. Basically, a black hole we are familiar with when too much mass is concentrated into too small an area, it collapses into a black hole. But E equals mc squared. So that must mean that energy, energy mass equivalence, if you pack enough energy into a small enough space, you can also create a black hole. Yeah. Theoretically. It may be that it's not the case. And the reason for that is that the amount of energy that you would have to pack into the amount of space is such that it would be so hot in that region of space that our current understanding of physics might break down. Mm-hmm. When we look at our theories of the Big Bang and the early universe, it's theorized that the 4 fundamental forces that we know today were once all together, and that's related to a hotter temperature. Like when you have very energetic pieces of space, you end up with just one unified force. Mm. And that force might not behave as gravity does and might not cause things to collapse into a black hole like gravity does. So maybe Kugelblitz black holes will never be real, unfortunately. Wow. Because I think they're pretty cool. But assuming that we have it right and that it will just operate as normal, then you could get these Kugelblitz black holes. And they would just be tiny little batteries because you've got Hawking radiation, and Hawking radiation increases as a black hole decreases in size. So if you have these very tiny black holes, they would be giving off a constant stream of Hawking radiation. And that could be pretty energetic. You could use it to power a spaceship, power anything you want, really. It's a battery, because all the energy you put into it to create the Kugelblitz black hole is eventually going to come out of it in the form of Hawking radiation. And that's just fascinating. It's a cosmic battery. But also what you have to worry about, this is sort of fun to think about, is that anything that is an energy storage device is also a bomb. Yes. So take that as you will. Imagine you just toss a Kugelblitz into someone's system, to someone's planet or something. I can't exactly pin down how powerful they are, because it's like an exponential thing. Mm-hmm. Where it's like as it gets smaller and smaller, the energy output increases exponentially, but it reaches there's only a set amount of energy in there. If you put 10 megajoules in there to create it, then you're only going to get 10 megajoules out. Mm-hmm. The question is, how quickly will those 10 megajoules come out? What will the power outage be? Power output be in watts. The wattage approaches infinity, but it's only at infinity for an infinitely small unit of time. So it's kind of confusing, what kind of damage they might cause. But,
oh my God.
It's just interesting to think about, right? Yeah, no problem. But yeah, Kugelblitz. Imagine you're sitting around the Kugelblitz fire. Got your hands out, warming your hands on the Kugelblitz fire.
Yeah, that's gonna be super interesting. And again, that just goes into that's obviously it's a marker of the scale itself is how much energy we use, but you can also just use that as a marker of how advanced the technology itself is when you start getting energy technology, because that's the technology that leads to other technologies. That's why energy output is actually such a intuitive and smart marker for this scale, because it is the stepping stone for pretty much everything else.
Yeah, because it takes an immense amount of energy to create a Kugelblitz.
Yes.
So you have these fun little things. I mean, you could take this computer and just ask it any question. What question would you ask a Matryoshka brain?
How many pints are in a cup?
Oh no! It would give you that answer instantaneously, in a Planck time. I've always wondered. No. Yeah.
You're talking to a computer as smart as anything, with all information in the universe, and you're just do I start my belt going to the left or to the right? I've never known.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting. So these giant machines, it would be really interesting to see a star cluster that has been entirely Dyson sphered over, and is just a giant, like, collective computer crunching device, like the most massive, most powerful computer in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Say like a million stars in like a giant sort of sphere that's like a few light years across, and it's just churning and churning. It'll be putting out so much power, like to get near it would probably incinerate you, you know, like it's just this massive computer. And whoever has that computer at their disposal is going to be incredibly powerful because they could figure out like anything almost. Yeah. It would be very fascinating to see these computers sort of pop up. Yeah, I love supercomputers. They are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then technology. So these are just sort of, so the capabilities are things that they'll definitely have, and then technology is things that they might have. And when I say definitely, I mean definitely under currently understood physics, because again, the Kugelblitz might be possible, might not. Like, if physics are as we think they are, then they're possible, but physics might not be as we think it is. Mm-hmm. But possible technologies, at this point, I would think you would see FTL and sort of violating the entropy, just creating energy, something like that. That's perpetual motion machine right there. So starting with FTL, there's definitely a demonstrated need here, right? So, like, if you think about innovation tends to match, it's like supply and demand, you know, it matches what is desired in the day. So, you know, like if you think of warfare, right? In every major war, like World War I and World War II, both saw incredible advances in technology but it was specifically technology that could be useful in a war, right?
Yeah.
The space race saw really quick advancement of rocketry, but that's because there was this, you know, competition, there was this need. So when you are a galaxy-spanning civilization, there is definitely the need for faster-than-light travel. It becomes inconvenient that it takes 100,000 years to get to the other side of the galaxy. Although there are possible caveats to that, like there's ways around that. One of them is that if people are living longer, like if people are essentially immortal, right? Mm-hmm. What's 100,000 years here or there?
Yeah, honestly, like your perception of time is now just so skewed. Like again, and that's another impossible thing to wrap your head around, is having a different perception of time.
Say that people lived as long as the sun itself, right? Yeah. If you lived as long as the sun, which is 10 billion years, say that that was your lifespan, then compared to modern humans, and this is going to be a generous estimate, say that modern humans have a lifespan of 100 years, which it's less than that, but then the results would be you would be living 100 million times longer than a human today. And so 100,000 years would only feel like 1/1000th of a year, which is about 8 hours. So if you're living 10 billion years, right?
Yeah.
And a trip across the galaxy that takes 100,000 years, from your perspective, is just like an inconvenience, like New York to London type thing.
Yeah.
Which might make it such that people don't actually care to get FTL. And it also might just be impossible to get FTL, as that would be modern understanding. But of course, we haven't dedicated 1 million suns worth of power to a computer to churn and think about that question for a few thousand years. You know, once that happens, our opinions might sort of change, because I mean, think about, so the sun is 3 times 10 to the 26 watts of power constantly streaming out. It's a bit more than that. But if you have 1 million suns, that's 3 times 10 to the 32. So that is a lot of power dedicated to a computer. I cannot like understate the sheer importance of these computers. Like honestly, if that's all we did with a Dyson sphere, like if we should just do that with our first Dyson sphere, because then everything else will follow, you know? But yeah, so maybe they figure out FTL travel. It would make sense based on the demands of the time. And they would, I mean, if anyone's going to figure it out, it'll be at this point that you figure it out. I think this is the point at which we would be able to definitively say whether it's possible or not. Because again, the computers. So if you give the faster than light problem to a computer that runs on 1,000,000 suns and let it churn and think about that problem for 1,000,000 years, and it doesn't give you a solution, I would say it's pretty safe to say that faster than light travel is not possible. Right?
Yeah.
But how can we be so arrogant to assume today that faster than light travel isn't possible? Right? Think about it. I mean, compared to 1,000,000 years of 1,000,000 suns of computation, how can we claim to know anything? Right?
All I know is that it's gonna be some dude from Ohio that figures it out. It's always Ohio. Every astronaut,
always
Ohio. It's
Ohio conspiracy.
Yeah.
Ohio has had the second most amount of U.S. presidents.
Yes.
Been from Ohio, after Virginia. Why Ohio?
There's some suspicious about Ohio.
Not really. The answer to the president thing is that Ohio has been a swing state for a very, very long time. And so it gives you the edge if your candidate's from Ohio. So why are there so many
astronauts from Ohio?
I don't know about that one, I'll admit. I just know about the president's one. Why are there so many astronauts from Ohio?
I don't know. Do they have a good air program? Maybe.
No idea. Ohio conspiracy.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, the technology of this, I'd like to believe that we get FTL at some point.
Yeah,
just because,
FTL would be fun.
Yeah, it'd be super fun. You get to...
Although it doesn't really matter. Like, really what's important is, like, life extension.
Yeah, that's true. And again, that's
and this gets into
weird,
the second. Yeah. This gets into the second possibility, which I think is much better, is the thermodynamics, breaking thermodynamics, breaking entropy.
Yes.
Same principle here. If you dedicate 1,000,000 suns, 1,000,000 years, they might be able to figure out entropy. They might be able to figure out how to reverse it. And if they do, that would be the greatest discovery of all time.
Yeah,
even better than FTL.
Literally be nothing better because
FTL, I do not care.
It's literally
FTL,
saving the universe.
Yeah, it is the ultimate form of life extension. You don't really have life extension until you eliminate thermodynamics, because sure, biological immortality, right? That just makes you non-susceptible to diseases and stuff, but you can still get like stabbed. Okay, technological immortality. It makes it so that you will you can make backup copies of yourself, but if there's no energy for you to run off of, then you're still done. We think of technological immortality as the most absolute form of immortality, but that's not actually even the case, because it's really like thermodynamics, like anti-entropy immortality. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to call it, but entropy is the ultimate form of decay. Sort of like how we think of our bodies aging, entropy acts on the entire universe and ages the entire universe. And eventually that will cause it to reach a point where nothing can happen anymore because there is no difference of energy. So this is kind of confusing because, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Yes, that is true. However, energy is only usable for work when there is an energy differential. So if there's more energy in one place and less energy in another place, that creates the potential to do work. And that's what we're really talking about when we say energy. That's usable energy. When all the energy is spread evenly about the universe, then it is not usable to do anything. So if there's, once the civilization figures out life extension, once they, master biological immortality and technological immortality, the natural next step for them is going to be, wait a minute, what if we solve the entropy problem? And it might be impossible. It very well may be impossible. But why not set 1,000,000 stars for 1,000,000 years on the issue?
Yeah.
That's my take on it. Yeah, so shall we go to the next slide?
We shall.
All right,
society.
So their society will have a lot of people, probably not densely packed like in this photo, but there will be a lot of people. So I think I did a calculation that the sun based on the amount of energy that each human uses right now on Earth, the sun could possibly support 10 to the 21 people. And here you've got 100 billion suns. And 100 billion is what, 10 to the 11? So that gives you 10 to the 32 people. That's your population for a Kardashev 3 civilization. 10 to the 32. That just does not, it like just does not compute. Mm-hmm. I cannot even understand that. Yeah. 10 to the 32. We only have 10 to the 10 people right now, and that's a bit of an overestimate. So this is more than cubing our population. So imagine for every human alive today, you have an entire other planet of humans alive today. And for every one of those, there's another planet. That roughly gets the scale of this kind of civilization, except you still fall a few orders of magnitude short. So you're still like 1,000 times less than what it could actually support. So that's just kind of like ridiculous. And it also begs the question of like uniqueness, right? Because people will say like, oh, you're 1 in a million. Okay, so that just means that there are 10 to the 26 people exactly like me, right? In this Kardashev 3 civilization. That is just incredible. I mean, even today saying you're 1 in a million, it means that there's like 7,000 other people like you. But I mean, that's still.
I should meet up with them, man.
We should have a convention. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's enough for maybe a convention. But you would have more than the amount of people on Earth exactly like you if you're only 1 in a million. So you have to do better than that for uniqueness. But it's just interesting what sort of effects that might have on a society, because it means that like niche interests will get expanded upon and will become like huge industries, which is just like weird to think about. But like, I don't know, imagine there's like one person is really interested in like one specific thing on Earth today, right? One person out of 7 billion really likes like this one thing. Like, I don't know. I can't think of anything. Like, I don't know. They really like fucking Kirkland's signature. Oh, sorry. I cursed. That's the first time ever on the stream. Wow. They really like Kirkland's signature water bottles, right? From Costco. There's probably more than one person that really likes them, but just imagine it's some random object. Okay. And there's only one person on Earth today that likes that. Well, that is 1 in 10 billion, essentially. So if you expand that 1 in 10 billion to the size of a Kardashev 3 civilization, you would have 10 to the 22 people to support that industry, which is, again, more than the amount of people that are alive on Earth today by a vast amount. So it means that new industries will rise. You couldn't sustain an industry today based on just one person. But if that one person, right, as the population grows, stays at proportionality, and you end up with 10 to the 22 people interested in something or service, that creates a huge industry. There are industries that like don't exist today that people will be very into, and it's just weird to think about. Like, I think it's something like, it's also, you'll get a lot more like scientists. You'll get a lot more of literally everything because again, this is 10 to the 32 people, but I mean, there are some very specific like scientific research, like, there's a scientist, like there's a field of like specifically like, I don't know, like dolphin like eyes, like how does the dolphin eye work, right? Mm-hmm. And you might have like a few thousand, I don't know, today, like say you have 1,000 people studying that, you will have so many people studying that, right? So this kind of increase in population is almost as powerful as the sheer increase in computing. I mean, humans are just, computers on a different substrate. So, it's essentially the same thing as I said before, just in a different way. It's kind of weird, but I mean, humans are just computers, biological computers, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's the population. So then you also have time breaks down, because again, if you live for 10 billion years, that makes 100,000 years 8 hours for you in terms of a fraction of your life. And there's no reason why a person would only live 10 billion years at this point. People would be effectively immortal at this point. if they have the technology, right? And that would have just interesting effects. Like, imagine if you like found a town or like found a star system, right? And you're like mayor or president or whatever. If you like never die and they don't have term limits, you could just stay in charge of that system for billions of years, even if you were like democratically elected, right? Because they're like, oh yes, he's the founder. And it's just interesting to think, how might new people like be able to get in society? Like, imagine, right, you've got some applicant to like an entry level job, and the interviewer says, sorry, but you simply don't have enough experience. 4 PhDs and 30 years in X industry, that's just not enough. I'm sorry. You come back when you have more experience, right?
Inexperienced.
You are inexperienced. You only have 4 PhDs. That is,
Come on, man.
right? Think about it. If people are living for billions of years, then the amount that you could accomplish in just 100 years would probably be very, very small relative to everyone else. You would be like way behind, so it would be hard to get in. But there probably wouldn't be that many young people at this point, because effectively for every new person that is born, someone else has to die for the population to stay the same. Otherwise, it would spiral out of control very quickly, and you would no longer be post-scarcity, and you would end up with like big problems generally. Whenever like you'd get like Black Death kind of stuff, because that was when Europe had too many people to support itself. Something always comes along and tanks you down, knocks you down a peg. Like historically, that's the trend, is that when you're over like capacity, some disaster comes along. So you don't want that to happen. So it's interesting what, like, there probably wouldn't be that many like children, just because people are only dying if they want to. So that's like the level of this society.
Yeah.
But
and again, it's just what you see over time, and as the technology goes up, is that traditional society completely dissolves. Like you said, it becomes like it's just so distinct, and it's like unrecognizable basically from today's society. And yeah, again, if we're looking at like governmental structures, a lot less government control, just because it's almost not feasible, because you have such a large area, and eventually the population like will catch up, but it is, it's just such a large area,
But yeah, even if the population does catch up without FTL or something, there's no way to like keep them.
Yeah, it's so
check.
hard to enforce that it, effectively wouldn't be. So you got
we talked about this a lot 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, so a whole lot of liberty is what's given. And if we're looking at the like the economic access, again, you will most likely get people that do want to work together with other people, and go into a more traditional society. And again, with all the resources, assuming that we're still in the post-scarcity stage, that would be very heavily more towards communistic, because again, you don't really have to compete for resources, so everything is just really shared and all of that. But as well as people are only doing stuff out of the motives of their heart. They're just doing what they want to do because they want to do it. Again,
you'd essentially get forms. Yeah, you'd get forms of, I'd say, anarcho-communism and anarcho-capitalism.
Yes.
Just because basically the key thing here is that like, to apply authority, you just do not have the physical capability, unless you start to break the laws of physics, which very well might be possible. So that would change everything. If they have FTL, FTL would be the most useful for keeping a population in check. So actually, I could see FTL happening first, because that's like the priority of the people with power, right? But versus like making everything better with reversing entropy. But that's besides the point. The point is that yeah, you'd get more just like people would cooperate if they want to, and they wouldn't if they wouldn't, if they don't want to. So that's pretty nice, right? I like
Yeah.
that kind of economic system. It's just like whatever you want. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. It's kind of neutral, because you get both. But anyway,
All right.
so yeah.
Day in the life surfing around.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's just cool. That's just a cool picture. That's the one on the right I took from like it's actually like a wallpaper, like a
Yeah,
computer
that's sick. I
wallpaper.
might throw that up.
I forgot where I got that from, but I like that picture. Like that's a good
Yeah,
picture.
that's nice.
So yeah, day in the life, as we said, it's just sort of like, if your thing is space surfing, then you can do all the freaking
And
space
that's
surfing
another
that you
thing
want.
is that more likely than not, people are gonna live in space rather than
Yeah,
on an actual planet. They're going
yeah,
to live on a station or a space city,
mm,
and they're going to just float around and just be out there
yeah,
rather than being on a planet. And again,
yep,
it's going to be super interesting to see what evolution does, because we
mm,
will then be the first, or to our knowledge, the first beings evolved for a space environment. So that'll
yeah.
be very
People
interesting.
people might also live in, virtual spaces.
It's also true.
Just like that's also
So
a thing.
Earth will
Whatever they
effectively
want.
reclaim itself if we haven't
Yeah.
destroyed it by then. But
Well,
Earth
it's
will. Yeah, go
well,
ahead.
so it's fascinating because Earth would be a very popular spot.
Mhm.
I wouldn't jump to it reclaim. It would take a lot of political, like conservation efforts to allow it to sort of reclaim itself more.
Mhm.
Because who wouldn't want to live on Earth at this point? It's kind of weird to think about, but it's like Earth is the hot topic. It's like, oh, it's the home world.
Mhm.
It is authentic.
Oh, it
People that are
becomes a
into like
tourist place, you're
authenticity.
saying?
It becomes a tourist attraction. Yeah.
Huh. All right, that's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, in my book series, eventually what they do is by exporting population into space, they get the population on Earth down to 1 billion, and that's their like marker. They're like, okay, we're gonna have like 999 million or 990 million permanent residents or something, and then X amount of tourists can come per day, right? And a ton of the Earth is sort of given back over to like nature preserves, essentially, giant nature preserves. But it would be difficult to completely keep people off of the planet. Even what I like lay out in my books, I would say is an optimistic sort of prediction of
Hmm.
only 1 billion people on the planet. Realistic, like if it's just deregulated, it will be as many people as like physically possible. Everyone will want to be on Earth. People would pay, millions of dollars to get like a few square feet on Earth because they're like, it's Earth. If you've got the whole galaxy, right? That's the only thing that can be specifically, you know, unique. Like everything will sort of be whatever you want. If you can tailor things to be however you want, right?
Hmm.
Then there's sort of nothing special about whatever you want, even if it's what you want. But there's only one Earth. It's sort of like supply and demand. The supply of everything else increases ad infinitum, right?
Hmm.
But the supply of Earth remains one as the demand keeps increasing because the population keeps increasing. Um, I mean, shouldn't think about it like this? Shouldn't everyone have the right to visit their homeworld at some point in their lives?
Yeah.
So if you've got 10 to the 32 people, how are you going to manage that? It's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think about that. You've got 10 to the 32 people. All of them originated on Earth in some form or another.
Hmm.
Obviously, most of them would not have been born on Earth, but everyone has their roots on Earth one way or another. And you've got 10 to the 32 people. I mean, thankfully, in one lifetime, the definition of that is greatly expanded, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would relieve the strain, but it would be very difficult. The situation on Earth, it's gonna be a fascinating one. Um, because again, you would need almost like a centralized authority to keep Earth, like national parks, right? Like it's the federal government makes the national parks,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like again, I don't think it would be enforceable if you gathered enough people, to like occupy Earth, right? They couldn't really stop you, and they wouldn't know for like tens of thousands of years potentially before they could send in like reinforcements to get you off of Earth. So it's very that would be a very interesting sort of story, just like Earth wars,
Yeah.
just like a ton of conflicts over Earth. It would essentially become like, I would say, the modern equivalent of the city of Jerusalem right now,
Mm.
and just throughout all of history. I mean, you had the Crusades, all
Yep.
about like the Holy Land. We got to reclaim the Holy Land, and so you'd have all this conflict. Earth, I would say, would be held in the same light if you've got a galaxy of tens of hundreds of billions of stars, and hundreds of billions of planets. It's like, well,
You're gonna
what do
get
I need?
you're gonna get people that
Yeah.
are like, huh, a world war, a world warring
Uh-oh.
against itself,
Yeah.
sounds preposterous.
Yes.
You know.
It would be interesting, like heist movie, to heist Earth. I don't think you could heist Earth though, because it would be too much attention on Earth.
I think we
But I
I
actually
think we could heist it.
I had a story concept. I have a story concept that's like in there, and it's called the Heist of Haumea, and it's supposed to essentially be just Ocean's 11
Right.
kind of
Right.
thing, right? It's a heist, and it's Haumea, and so the, it's basically that the original solar system. Like this doesn't just apply to Earth, right? What I've been saying about how people would really want to be on Earth, it would apply to Mars too, Venus, anything that was part of the original solar system, even like the nearby stars, Alpha Centauri. People would be all about that, right? To a lesser extent, of course, than Earth itself, but it's the closeness, the proximity to authenticity, right? But Haumea and like Pluto and a few of the other like ice dwarfs are part of like an exhibit that like goes around the galaxy, a traveling exhibit, so people can go and see the authentic like original solar system objects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking of this sort of like heist movie style thing where these people try and steal Haumea, and it's like what they would do is I had a few little plot points in there, like they would have a diversion by like making it seem like they were going after Pluto so that the security would ramp up around Pluto, but then they'd really take Haumea. And it's just like, how do you heist a planet is the kind of thing. Like, how do you cloak it? How do you like sneak it out, right? That's sort of the concept I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was also thinking about like that they were gonna steal Haumea for a guy who was like the son or grandson of the first person on Haumea, right? The first colonist of Haumea. So the
Right. I
heisters,
remember you telling me about this. Yeah.
yeah, so the heisters think like, oh, okay, we're doing this for a good cause at least, like we're returning it to this guy. But then it turns out that the guy like just really hated his father, and so he's like, oh, I want to blow it up, and that's what he eventually does. And so I'm thinking of doing like a double heist movie where they heist it from the exhibit, but then they have to heist it back from the person
Ooh.
once they figure out the motives. Anyway, I just think that's fun. So
We've
you'll get a ton of crazy plots, the plot to steal Earth. There's going to be a ton of things like that.
yeah. We have a lot more chat from
Oh,
Daikaiju
we have,
Productions,
yeah.
which I just saw.
Let's see. What does Daikaiju say? All right. Nah, the entire state is just spaced out. I forgot. I don't know what that's in reference
Ohio.
to. Wacky.
Ohio.
Oh, Ohio.
Yes.
Wacky. Like Florida, which also is spacey. Begun. The Clone Wars have. One in a million. Yes. Storm Earth. They can't stop us all. Oh no. They can and they will, maybe. Wait, could Earth become an Amprim commune? Could Earth? I don't think so.
If this could be a
I don't
tourist
think
attraction, then that's just a lib-right
Yeah.
Anarchy.
I don't think Earth could become an Amprim commune with all the attention on it. Because you would need like crazy kind of firepower to keep people away.
I feel like there could be a section of it that people run away
There could.
to, like the Amazon rainforest or something that people just
Ah,
escape to.
like
They're
people
like,
sneak in.
I'm going to
I don't
return
know,
to
but
monkey.
yes, I feel like people. I don't know. I feel like the authorities would have like cameras everywhere,
Ooh,
like every square meter.
dystopian.
Kind of, but it's like it's just Earth. You know, you could leave. It's like, well, I mean, would you, if you were to go into a museum, right? Would you be surprised that there are cameras all throughout the
Yes,
museum?
dystopian. Let me steal. Let
Let
me
me steal the
steal.
ancient artifacts. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's really interesting. It's a very unique situation. What would happen to the authentic original space objects? Um, yeah, it's like Earth. What to do with Earth? Yeah, you could get. I don't know. Maybe you could have one possibility I see would be you could have a group
Mm-hmm.
that they go down to Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like they've applied for like their like 1 week visit that they're allowed, but then they like stay there and they don't leave and they form like an prim commune type thing. Like they're like, oh, we're gonna be, they like basically just steal a portion of land, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that that survives is that the government is worried about like they don't want to make too harsh a response because then the critics will be like, oh, how dare you do that, right? They were just there, just doing their thing. That's the situation under which I could see you getting an Anprim commune, right? Because it's basically saying you either let us stay here or you're going to have to like fight us out. And it would look bad to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could be a possible scenario.
Yeah.
You could have that sort of thing. It would be a big news, big press event. Like when people are, like whenever there's a big like news story that lasts like a few weeks and people are like glued to the TV and they're like, oh, this is so interesting. What's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like besieged and prim commune on Earth. Interesting stories. Lots of potential for stories about the future of Earth, like the far, far future of Earth as a tourist destination. But yeah, so let's go to the next one. We've got Kardashev 4. So as there are, 100 billion stars in the galaxy, there's, somewhere around 10 billion, 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe. And the observable universe is the boundary. Well, if you have FTL, it's not the boundary. But under known physics, it is the boundary because the edge of the observable universe is the distance at which objects are expanding away from us at the speed of light. And beyond that distance, they are expanding away from us faster than the speed of light. So it's impossible to get to them. That is just, let's see. I mean, that's just sort of cosmological expansion,
Mm-hmm.
Nothing we can really do about that as of yet. That would be another problem I'd set the computers to for a million years, right? Let's not reverse, but stop. You don't want to reverse it. It does not go well when you reverse the cosmological expansion either. You get big crunch. Yeah, big crunch. But yeah, so let's go to domain here. So Kardashev 4 domain. They've got the whole universe. What do they do with it? It's interesting to think about. I mean, they have literally everything.
How many Sharknado movies do you think we'll have by Kardashev 4?
By Kardashev 4. I think by Kardashev 4, we will have, let's see. So again, the industry, right? The scaling up of industry, as I mentioned, this continues, right? So now instead of 10 to the 32 people, you've got like 10 to the 42 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so imagine that there is one diehard fan alive on Earth today that would watch any Sharknado content that would come out. In this reality, you have 10 to the 32 of those diehard Sharknado fans that would watch any Sharknado related movie. So I would say I would probably do some sort of formulation like whatever year it is AD minus 2000 and then times like 0.1 maybe 0.5 gives you a pretty good estimation of how many Sharknado movies there will be at this point. So if it's the year 10,000, you'll probably have a few thousand Sharknado movies. So But it would probably have to be many, many years after that, especially if there's no FTL. So millions, billions of Sharknado movies.
I could live in a world where there
You
would
could live in a world with
millions or billions.
billions of Sharknado. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of inevitable.
It is.
If you get to this point that there would be billions of any movie, of any sequel to any movie. Literally just get one Dyson sphere, one Matryoshka brain, which is again like $1 for Bill Gates for Kardashev 3, right? Get one of those, say to it, here are the first 4 Sharknado movies. I want you to automatically generate new Sharknado movies. Bam. Free cash flow. Easy cash flow. Easy money. Brilliant. You just auto-generated content. What do you think?
I like it. What a wonderful world.
Yeah. There will be, in this world, auto-generated Gravity Max live streams.
Ooh.
It's inevitable, right?
They could just take everything we've said, so they just program our voices.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. If there are going to be billions of Sharknado movies, there would probably be thousands, millions of episodes of Gravity Max live stream.
And welcome back to season 4,500,000.
And it's like, it's that Wojak from like a while back, the gray one. It's suffering. Welcome back to episode 4 million. Oh my gosh. But yeah, there's just so much that can happen here. It's the whole universe. So let's go to capabilities. So capabilities here, we have completely artificial planets. The one on the left is a Birch planet, which is a planet surrounding a very, very, very massive black hole.
And again, when you get to this level, it's not the government that is making these planets. If you have that much energy per person, then I could see someone gathering like a team equivalent to the team that is required to like make a movie per se. Nowadays you need anywhere from let's say that like lowest for a high budget movie is like probably 100 people. So you get anywhere from 100 to 1,000 people can make their own planet, which is really something.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get a lot of novelty planets here.
Yes.
For the most part, you'll probably default around some standard like model that's cheapest for most people. But I would say a good 10%, 20% of your like market could be filled with like novelty homes, essentially, because you got weird kind of planet types that you might want. Yeah. Someone's going to build all the planets from, say, Interstellar or Star Wars many times over, right? Mm-hmm. Or Star Trek, right? Any sort of sci-fi show, you're going to get replicas. Won't that be fun? Someone will be like, I want to build, I don't know why, but that water planet from Interstellar just sort of enchants me. The one with the massive waves. I just think it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Even though it's like bad in the movie, I just think it's like cool. I wouldn't want to go there. Mm-hmm. I would just look from above and be like, wow, isn't that fascinating? It would be great for the space surfing of this level, right? Oh, yeah. But yeah, also flat Earths. We've got flat Earths here. Not condoning flat Earth theory, but this is, you could create flat worlds if you wanted to.
Wow.
If you had the technology.
Imagine someone is just so, like, hell-bent on the fact that Earth is flat. Even though to create a flat planet,
you got to go to space.
See that it would be hysterical if they just didn't turn their head. They're just like, let's just keep going. Let's keep going.
Yep. I love the sort of stories where you have, say, like in Ringworld, where you have a formerly like technological society that sort of like falls from grace. And it's like kind of dystopian, like they fall back to like our level or before. So imagine, right? Someone builds a flat planet, okay, and people live there, but then some sort of local disaster causes them to like lose all their technology. And so then in that world, right, you would have round earthers who would be conspiracy theorists that say our flat disk is actually round, okay, because there's no way that a flat object could occur naturally in space. and they'd have all their stuff, and they'd be like, "Oh, look at this experiment that we did," and blah blah blah. But
Mm-hmm.
but no, it would be patently obvious if you're on a flat planet instead of a round planet. I'm just gonna say that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to tell because basically the horizon does not exist on a flat planet. There is no horizon. It just continues to like go up forever in your vision, and you just see to the edge of the world. Essentially, you could see to the edge of the world. It would be pretty blurry, but and things would probably get in the way first. But you know, it would be obvious. We would know if we were on a flat planet. Anyway, you could create those sort of things. Just any novelty thing, anything that an entire planet inhabited by dinosaurs. There will be a market for that.
Yeah.
You've got Jurassic Park fans, so we'll get that. What else? I mean, you could have like movie themed planets. Just anything you want, anything you can imagine. You could get Sharknado planets. You want to live in the Sharknado movies? Someone will want to.
Someone will.
Someone will. Probably enough to at least create one of these planets. I'm just saying.
There's a market
that's
for
how
everything.
There's a market for everything, literally everything at this point. It's like the internet. Like there's literally everything on the internet. So that's what you get at this point. The universe becomes the internet.
Someone will literally make Earth the exact same, except Al Gore was president.
Yes. Yeah.
Which leads us into a Kardashev 5 civilization.
Yeah. Al Gore. But yeah, so what kind of technology might these people have?
Let's take a look.
Here we put in teleportation and predicting the future. Just two little guesses here. Teleportation sort of stems from faster than light travel. I imagine, I don't know, they might be able to figure it out. They can warp space-time.
Again,
fold it over on itself.
That does raise all the philosophical questions of, are you really just getting cloned?
Yes. I love that philosophy.
Yeah, but honestly...
That's why portals are better.
Yes, that is why portals are better.
They are the superior form of teleportation because no philosophical questions here. You just step through.
Yeah.
And you're fine.
The closest thing I can think of for a comparison to what like teleportation could be is quantum entanglement, which is what the Half-Life games actually use, because interestingly enough, Half-Life and Portal, the games, all take place in the same universe.
Nice.
However, Portal obviously uses portals, whereas the people in Half-Life use teleportation devices. And it makes a lot of noise, and it ends up malfunctioning, and you wake up, in crazy places.
Okay.
But so I guess again that shows portal supremacy. But
yes, portals.
Portals
are better.
I'll
admit the one thing that teleporting is better at is that you can it depends on the rules of teleportation, but generally you can teleport anywhere, even to a place you haven't been yet, right?
Yes.
Whereas with portals, you actually have to bring the portal to the destination first. Yeah. Portals just make it easier to go back and forth once you've already gotten there. But I'll give 1 point to teleportation that
there you go.
They allow you to just go to new places easier. But that comes with apps too, though, doesn't it?
Yes.
What if you teleport to another galaxy, and it's an uncharted galaxy, and you just teleport into the middle of a star? Oops. Oh, what am I gonna do? Oops.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the Half-Life games, they make reference to quantum entanglement. And again, very simply, it's just particles that are on opposite ends of the galaxy. One wiggles and then another one wiggles the same way.
Oh yeah.
So
it's
you can
bridge
really the gap, then.
Except with entanglement, though. You have to they have to be in the same place when you first entangle them.
Yes.
So that makes it more like portals.
It does.
In that you have to actually bring it there first.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, but that is fun to talk about. Although I think I'm not sure. I don't know. Really, people that know a lot of particle physics are probably getting really angry right now because they don't like quantum entanglement is sort of a like catch-all used in sci-fi as like a way around light speed, and they're like, no, you can't actually transmit information.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's all right. it's just for fun. We'll just
the guy on the right
yeah.
here, this is the
Yes.
prediction, right?
Yeah, so this guy is, I think he's the leader of the Foundation, which is from Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. And what the Foundation does is they predict the future. It's called psychohistory. They basically have really advanced algorithms, and those algorithms can estimate the trends and developments of the future. Although certain things can like throw it out of whack. Particularly like if you have knowledge of the future, then you can change the future. Because so the Foundation tries to just like not interfere because they want to be able to predict things. They don't want to get blindsided. And if they like actually use their predictions to change to do anything, it will like throw them out of whack. It's more just like self-protection. They're like, we know what will happen and we know how to prepare for it, but we will not help you guys. So that's sort of what the Foundation is about. I want to read it. I haven't actually read it, but yeah, psychohistory. And again, let's get our million suns on it, right? And now we're at Kardashev 4, so let's get our million galaxies worth of suns on it, which is 100 billion times more energy, to predict the future. It could be done, I think.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's we'll find out at least. We'll find out whether or not you can predict the future at this point because, well, like there's the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, so you can never really know the velocity and position of a particle. So it's just about how much does that actually affect the course of history. Like, does an electron being in a slightly different position actually butterfly effect on history, or does it sort of streamline and even out?
Yeah.
Those are two opposing forces in history, I would say. You've got the butterfly effect, and then you've got this other force. People don't really talk about it. Like, there's not really a name for it, but it's just that, like, it's like movements, you know? It's like the, say the USSR, right? Like, they didn't become communist just because of, like, Vladimir Lenin. Like, there were other people who were communists, right? You know what I mean? Like, historical trends occur. Like, the U.S. was not founded just because of George Washington.
Yeah.
There was that sort of sentiment within the group. It would have changed things had these different, like, leaders not been there or been there for longer. Like, it would have changed the outcome. But there is a definite sort of streamlining effect of history where like small or big changes actually get smoothed out rather than exemplified. People don't think about that one as much though. People always think about butterfly effect, small changes rippling out exponentially. But I think the opposite happens too, just as often. I don't know.
Yeah.
Of course you can't know because there is no time travel, but yeah. So yeah, maybe they predict the future. That's technology.
And then we pop over to society. And it's even weirder at this point.
Look at it.
You have
Society if.
This is
the meme.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I mean, I don't even know what to say
Society
here. They would
if
just
pizza was served cold. No, that's a joke. I've noticed that a couple people I know have brought it to my attention that they prefer cold pizza over warm pizza.
Okay. So I have there's a few qualifications I'd like to make here.
Yes.
So say I get a pizza, okay?
Yes.
And it's nice and warm, it's hot.
Yes.
And I eat 2 slices and it's great, but I'm full and so I put it in the fridge, okay?
Yes.
Later when I take the pizza back out,
yes,
and I take out 2 more slices, I can either put it in the toaster or just eat it cold. I prefer to eat it cold.
What is wrong with you?
But, of course, listen, I obviously prefer the original pizza before it got cold, right?
Why would you not put it in the toaster?
I feel like the reheating process generally makes it worse.
Okay, that's fair. But I've heard
that's what I'm saying.
I've heard these people
No,
make.
yeah, no. I agree. I think that the original pizza is best. Like if we have three things, right? The original warm pizza is best. The cold pizza is second best. To third place, reheated pizza, which I just kind of think is garbage.
That's true.
So
okay,
that's what
that is very
that's my
true.
qualification.
It's very true.
Yeah.
But I've seen people order a pizza
and then just like let it sit
and
there,
put
like...
it in the fridge immediately.
Oh,
just delivery man, fridge, done.
That's weird. I'm just gonna say, yeah, no, I that's inexplicable. Maybe we can set the computers to it for 1,000,000 years, and they'll figure out why that. They'll figure out why that happened. But yeah.
But
so society.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, the observable universe is billions of light years across.
Yeah, there is no potential for any degree of authoritarianism outside of a closed system, outside of a closed environment. You might get a planet where, you know, there is some dystopian slavery going on, that situation, like horrific things happening. But if, like, any, like, there will be no major political parties, there will be no one major government, there will be no coalition of governments at this point, honestly. Because
the problem is, like, the expansion is the expansion of the universe too, is that once you get far enough away, it would actually take effort to keep your system, like, close enough. Whereas if you just don't act, it'll just float away.
Yeah.
Because of the expansion of the universe. But there are possible ways to, like, reverse that. And again, set the computers to it. They might be able to reverse or halt or whatever the expansion of the universe. But still,
this is the point where entropy, we can start seriously battling entropy. Like Kardashev 3 is where we, I guess, started, like where we could actually have our bearings, because now we've mastered, you know, biology, chemistry, physics, which is what you need to start battling thermodynamics. But I could see it taking until Kardashev 4 to get there. And if it's not done by the end of Kardashev 4, then honestly it's probably never going to happen, because going into Kardashev 5,
Kardashev 5 requires physics breaking technology to exist in the first place.
There you go.
So you don't get Kardashev 5 or greater until you've broken physics. And my hair does not look good right now.
It's not good. It's
a
futuristic hairstyle. It's a futuristic hairstyle.
I look kind of ridiculous.
I like it.
Anyway, I couldn't keep that hat on. It took too long. Okay. But yeah, definitely reversing. I just cannot take myself seriously when I look at myself right now. Okay, so reversing thermodynamics, right? Or any sort of thing
would become... how casually you say that.
A big... yeah, I know. It would become a big societal priority. But yeah, again, Kardashev 4 would view Kardashev 3 as, like, we view the hunter-gatherers, you know, like... So the Kardashev 3... Yeah, whereas the Kardashev 3 would dedicate 1,000,000 suns for 1,000,000 years to the issue, Kardashev 4 would be like, oh, so you, like, glanced at it for a second and that's it? We can do better than that, right? It's just, it's crazy, the sort of scale here. An entire Kardashev 3 civilization compared to an entire Kardashev 4 civilization would be, again, like Bill Gates and $1. You know, $1 is the Kardashev 3. Bill Gates is the Kardashev 4. So they might just dedicate an entire galaxy to the problem. As they get more desperate, they might dedicate entire galaxy clusters or superclusters to solving the entropy problem. That's just fun to think about. I really want to get one of those computers.
Yeah. Get my hands on one of those computers. What would you ask the supercomputer?
What would I ask
First question.
I would ask it how to reverse entropy. That's the biggest priority.
That would,
in my
imagine
opinion.
It takes like 8 years to compute it, and at the end it's just 42.
42. No. Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
but
That would be the best sort of prank, the best sort of meme. Um, yeah. But no, it's just crazy. Every level here is unimaginable from the last. Like that's the takeaway of this whole episode. Is that we were talking about how unimaginable the Kardashev 3's like computing capabilities would be. But then we get to Kardashev 4, and again we have to say, like, we have to make weird comparisons, like Bill Gates to a dollar. Like that doesn't even compute again. Like, and that's because human computers, right, are not running on enough energy. We don't have enough power to comprehend that kind of scale. So yeah, but society here, it would just be, I mean, it would just be like, I don't know, everyone would kind of be able to do their own thing. It would be hard to control anything. Like if people are annoying you, you just head off in one direction continuously until you get far away enough from everything. And that's it. You're good. So, and especially if you have FTL, because if you have FTL already, then you have access to other observable universes, which again does not make sense in modern physics. But, you know, maybe. So that's just weird. It is all weird at this level. So let's go to day-to-day life. Day in the life. What would it be like?
Surfer. So this is again, it's what I said for Kardashev 3, where each individual person has more power than current society. It would be, I would say that probably each individual person in a Kardashev 4 has as much power as a Kardashev 2, if we're using that scale. Like I mean as the entire culmination of what a Kardashev 2 is. Maybe even a little more, like Kardashev 2.5. Each individual person has the absolute sum of a Kardashev 2.5 civilization, which is crazy. And so Silver Surfer over here, he's immortal. In a Kardashev 4 society, you're gonna get everyone. Everyone has life extension. Everyone's living to, you know, like without interruption. They're basically going to be able to live as long as they want.
Something weird to think about is like, how do people stay entertained?
Well, that's why. That's kind of what Silver Surfer does. Is he goes on quests all the time, and he works for Galactus, which hopefully Galactus doesn't show up.
That would not be good.
That would not be good. But yeah, so honestly, how you keep yourself entertained is
it's up to the individual. But
it is. Anything, because it's effectively it's post scarcity. It would take so long for humans to reach a point where the entire observable universe is not enough. So just for the all intents and purposes, you're in post scarcity no matter which way you flip it. So all of your basic needs are met effectively. Like you are not required to do anything. I'm sure we'll have technology so that you will not have to sleep. You will not have to go to the bathroom. You will not have to breathe. You will not have to do anything outside of anything you want to. You won't be forced to do anything. Right now we're forced to do a lot of stuff, even if we weren't in society. You again go to the bathroom, you gotta breathe, you gotta eat, you gotta sleep, all that. You would not have to do that in Kardashev 4. So you're doing everything because you want to. And
I bet they could fulfill like not even just basic needs, but the whole like Maslow's hierarchy.
Absolutely.
Like imagine you have someone's like, I am so bored. I just you know, nothing excites me anymore. Then that's a task that you could probably have like a tiny subroutine in a matryoshka brain, a single matryoshka brain, just one big, you know, sun, just one Dyson sphere here, right? You could just ask it, oh, matryoshka brain, I am incredibly bored. What do I do? and then it just says, give me access to all of your information. And you're like, okay. And then it sifts for like 1 second and is like, okay, I have developed a program that will entertain you for the next 1,000 years. Do you accept?
Yeah.
And you probably would, because you're like, okay. And I bet it could figure out how to entertain someone, you know? So even, and not just entertain here, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like the top level is like personal fulfillment or whatever. Something interesting that might take effect here is like people might intentionally like remove certain memories just for the sake of like reliving things that have gotten old. Mm-hmm. So, because once you've engaged in skydiving a few thousand times, I imagine it loses the thrill, right?
Yeah.
So say you have a very, like, you've got a skydiving enthusiast and they're like, you know what? I am like getting very bored. I know how to make it entertaining again. I'll remove all but like my first 10 times skydiving. So I still have all the skill, or a lot of the skill, but I can like relearn it and it can be enjoyable again. And then they just do that. So yeah. And then it's interesting to contemplate complete memory erasure. I mean, someone will do it.
Yeah.
But lots of people would probably do it. But it's sort of like this idea of memory death. Because what are you but the sum total of your experiences, right? So you'll probably get people that like reset everything and like keep the core personality, but then get rid of all the memories periodically if they get too bored. I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Sort of like movie protagonists. I would say there's like a good like 2% of movies where the protagonist wakes up and just has no idea who they are, what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe up that to 5%, which may not seem like much, but for such a specific plot of just a character starting the movie with total amnesia, like how common is that in movies, you know? Sci-fi and non-sci-fi alike, right? You just get a character that starts with just like, I don't know who I am, what's going on?
Yeah.
And there's like, come with me, we are part of the resistance. And it's like, okay. Like, and then later they find out like, we were not part of the resistance all along. And you're like, oh no.
Yes. And then they realize that they themselves were the cause of the deadly virus.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, uh-oh. But yeah, so that, you know, that is Kardashev 4. It's just anything you want, whatever, anytime, anywhere, anyhow, like your wildest fantasies, whatever dream, whatever possibility you have can become true.
And speaking of fantasy, now
oh yeah, Kardashev Omega.
Kardashev,
so this is just
go ahead.
This is just 5 or greater, indefinite, infinitely many. Just
We'll look up examples of Kardashev. Go ahead.
So domain. The domain would have to be outside the observable universe, and that's just hard to think about. There are a few possibilities. It could either be FTL and reversing entropy have allowed us to sort of get beyond the observable universe to other parts of the universe. I imagine at some point they'll figure out how big the actual universe is, right? Because the observable universe is probably just a tiny, tiny part of the universe, just based on the fact that every time in history that we've thought we knew what the complete universe was, it's turned out that the universe was actually like 10 billion times larger. I mean, at first you got like, oh, the whole universe is the solar system, right? But then we find out, no, each star is actually a solar system in and of itself, and there's 100 billion of them, and it's in this thing called the galaxy. Okay, so the galaxy is the whole universe. No, wait, there are tens of billions of other galaxies. But now we're at the observable universe. So are there tens of billions of other regions the size of the observable universe within the universe? Or is the actual universe like literally infinite? We just don't know because we're stuck in this tiny bubble. And so if they got FTL, they would be able to break through that bubble. Alternatively, the domain could span alternate universes. So multiverse, you got alternate timelines, alternate realities. And they can just open a door and like enter an alternate reality at will whenever they want. That's another form of Kardashev Omega. Anything else? I mean, those are the two main ones, but it's just anything. So all of these things require physics to not be 100% correct as we know it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Kardashev Omega may actually be physically impossible.
Yeah.
But if it isn't physically impossible, right? If it's physically possible, I mean, you'd need some sort of physics-breaking technology to do it, and it would be sort of crazy. So let's go to. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was just bringing up some societies or civilizations that could be seen as Kardashev 5 are the Time Lords and the Daleks from Doctor Who. They were able to get around the universe in the blink of an eye. They had teleportation, and obviously the Time Lords had control over time itself. And also the Combine from Half-Life. And again, they use a ton of teleportation. They're like they go in between dimensions. And parallel realities, and that's really where your mind should be when we're talking about Kardashev 5.
I think that would be pretty cool. Hook up, like, you don't even have to necessarily, like, it's really interesting with alternate realities because you don't necessarily even have to leave the planet. If we could discover alternate realities today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine we can open a door to an alternate Earth where humans never evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, you've just doubled your resources.
Exactly.
So that would be interesting.
So
and then you would
it's impossible to not be in post scarcity at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Because whenever, and this is literal post scarcity. Because whenever you run out, just open a door, get another Earth, right? Get another alternate reality. It's fun because eventually you'd get like hub worlds if you have this, sort of one world, like Omega civilization. Because say that you have 1 billion different Earths in this sort of sphere of influence, right? You've got 1 billion different Earths, alternate Earths, and you've got these sort of like door portals, whatever mechanism. They would probably have to eventually dedicate an entire Earth to just being a world covered in these doors. And it's like, okay, I want to go to Earth, 337,451. And it's like, okay, that is the door to that one is in Australia. So you're going to have to hop on the flight, go over to that, right? Mm-hmm. Like you'd have to fly around, but you would have access to billions of Earths, which is just a very interesting, like hypothesis. Also, I love alternate history almost as much as I love sci-fi. Like it's just such an entertaining thing.
Yeah.
So
all the alternate history fans will be satisfied. That game, what was that game? Or the simulation that you could run, which you like determine alt history, like Iron Hearts or something. I forget what
is this called. The one with the mod that's like the Kaiserreich mod?
I think yeah.
Oh, I don't know what it's called. I just know the mod where it's like Germany wins World War I.
I think it's Iron Hearts 4. Is that what it's called?
Maybe, I don't know. That's such an interesting one, the Kaiserreich one, because the U.S. you've got like if it breaks into like 5 different factions. I think that's an interesting mod of the game. Yeah. So you're going to get that game?
You take command of any nation in World War II. I thought they had a newer one. This is from 2016.
Yeah. And the one I'm talking about has World War I. Alternate World War I.
Okay, yeah, there's a ton of mods for this, so maybe someone modded it to World War I?
Yeah, Kaiserreich is a mod.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. But
yeah, it's really
But you could run those simulations in real life with the Kardashev.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, not even a simulation, just like an alternate reality that you create. Like, but yeah, it's fun. It's like there's like a 5-way U.S. election between like I forget who. It's like I know Huey Long is one of them in Kaiserreich because that's why he's a meme. So that's just fascinating. Fascinating game. But yeah, you could do all the altist scenarios you want.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting, the alternate realities version. And also, if the universe is infinite, like literally infinite outside of the observable universe bubble, that is also effectively like the same thing because given an infinite amount of space, the probability of anything, like if any given thing has a probability that isn't 0, then it will happen somewhere in an infinite space. And it will happen an infinite amount of times, right? Even if there's only like a 1 in a Googleplex chance that any given planet will have an exact replica of you on that planet. If there are an infinite number of planets, then infinity divided by Googleplex, which is still infinity, that's the number of exact replicas of you there are, which means that there's also an infinite number of exact replicas of Earth, except where X thing happened differently. And so, bam, you get your Altist scenario. So,
there you go.
That's fun.
And that
Omega,
goes right into
get
the
Altist
capabilities, where every individual person is just God.
Everyone is God.
Literally, it's like we were saying before, every person in a Kardashev 4 has the power of an entire Kardashev 2.5. It's just so exponential. The slope is just undefined at this point that everyone has the power to create their own universe.
Yep, exactly. You would be a god. And this is because you can either, because Omega either needs an infinite universe or an infinite number of alternate universes. If you want to if things are annoying you, you can just open up a door, go to a new, alternate universe, and make things exactly how you want them to be.
Yeah.
Or, alternatively, you can hop in your FTL, ship, fly out for a few months, and now you are in, infinitely far away, effectively, from where you started, on some other far-reaching area of the universe, and you can also just make things exactly how you want. So this is just the ultimate, degree of, complete freedom, I guess you could say.
Yes.
That's one interpretation. Because it's freedom in every capacity, because there is no scale, there is no want you could possibly have that cannot be satisfied.
Yeah, and also
other than something metaphysical, oh, I want to be challenged or something like that, I want to face real difficulty.
Well, you could probably figure out a
but
way.
Not really, because you could know that it's actually oh, I can actually leave the simulation anytime I want.
But what if another person attacked you, another god attacked you?
That's an interesting. I don't know, because
you could probably just door.
You could just
away.
leave.
Yeah.
You could just door or FTL away.
Yeah.
To some random spot.
That'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Like a light versus L situation.
Oh yeah.
Where they just predict where they're gonna go, so they can just keep fighting, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I learned how to play that on the guitar, actually.
Nice. Yeah.
But
it's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, again, it's just, and also if we do have control over time, which I mean, in 5 or Omega, you have access to everything.
Yeah.
So you're probably gonna have control over time too. So if you really want, you can just be like, "Well, I really miss those 2012 memes." So you just snap yourself back to 2012, and you're like, "Hey guys," and you draw the troll face for the first time.
Yes. And Doge. Yeah. No, and well, it's sort of interesting, because say that you have a FTL drive that can do, say, 1 trillion light years an hour, right? If you are facing an adversary, you flick on your drive for 5 seconds, and now you could be in any of billions of galaxies, and they don't know which one you're in, right? Yes. So you can hide pretty easily, I would say.
You can.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll have, just as the escape technology advances, the hunting technology will also advance, and they might be able to find you easier. I don't know. Those conflicts, it would be difficult. It would be interesting. But yeah, it's just fun. It's just it's basically you've unlocked free play mode of the universe. So, yeah.
So, yeah, going over to technology.
We have the time machine in here. So
that would really be the last hurdle. If you can just shift between universes, possibly shift between like dimensions, like just
Yeah.
I want to check out the second dimension today. Oh.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, time travel can come in many forms, and some of those forms would literally just be what we've already discussed, open a door to a reality where the Big Bang happened 10 years later than it happened in our timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically just an exact replica of 2011. Except what you do in that 2011 has no bearing on your actual present, right? So it's honestly better than time travel. Most time travel movies end horribly because the person like unpersons themselves. It's like, oh no, now I need to get my parents back together, right? Back to the Future, fun movie. But time travel, not all it's been cracked up to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I would say the themes, like the message of most time travel movies, like 80% of them is don't time travel.
Yeah.
Which, just going to say, if that's the purpose of the movie, you're not doing a good job.
Yeah.
Who comes away from a time travel movie and doesn't want to time travel? Even though the message is explicitly like, it will go really bad if you time travel,
Mm-hmm.
you still want to do it. You know? So, yeah, so time travel could cause some problems if it's like time travel that actually has an effect on the present, because someone could like go back and then just destroy everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, someone could go back to say 1983, right? Assassinate that guy Stanislav Petrov, like right before the whole nuclear incident went on, and then everyone else is like, "Uh-oh, let's just nuke America," and then this was basically a false like detection of American nukes coming towards Russia. And there was the potential. It's just this one guy was like, I don't think this is real.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it would have caused nuclear destruction for everything. So if that happened, that would destroy everything. And this would be a problem if this kind of time travel is possible, because you could get one crazy person destroys the entire Omega civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always one crazy person willing to do that. And especially so if you've got 10 to the 42 people. I mean, this is really bad because it basically increases the potential for terrorism. Terrorism now, right, at most will like destroy a building. And that's devastating. But imagine if lone terrorists had the capability of destroying the entire world. That is what this kind of time travel would create, which would be very bad. Like, it would basically, as soon as this kind of time travel is invented, I give it like an hour before all of civilization is destroyed.
Yeah.
Is uncivilized from existence. Like, just, it's weird. But maybe since it's an Omega civilization, maybe they could just escape to an alternate universe. I don't know. So that's that. But yeah, so society. We no longer live in a society.
There'd be no society.
Yeah.
At all.
And the reason for that is that, imagine I tell Sebastian, I prefer cold pizza to hot pizza, right? Mm-hmm. It's a small infraction, okay? But it's still something that he would rather not be true about the universe.
Yes.
So he could just open up a new universe where everything is the same, except I prefer hot pizza over cold pizza.
I would have to kill the version of me in that reality.
No, not even, because you could just open up a reality where everything is different, except that version of you happened to pop out of existence at that time. Oh. It's not your fault.
It would be funny.
It's just the reality.
It would be funny if you had to do that. Like, you're just sitting there and you're like, I do prefer cold pizza. Or you're like, this is the version where you say, I prefer hot pizza.
Yeah.
And so I show up and I just, myself, just strangling me. I'm like, that's really bold of you, Max.
Oh, no.
But, if everyone's a god, no one is. Actually, no, that's dumb. Everyone is.
Everyone
So
is, yeah.
they're just dooring away. No one knows what the
Just
real
yep.
universe is anymore. No one, there's no anything.
Yeah, eventually people will lose track of the original universe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe, but maybe. I don't know. Because just as Earth became a tourist destination, I imagine the original universe would be a tourist destination.
Yeah.
But this level of technology could be such that it completely confuses everything and no one knows what the original one is. Like, at least we can tell Earth is Earth. But, I mean, an alternate universe could be something so trivial. It could be a reality where everything is exactly the same except this electron doesn't exist. Like, what? Or it could just be an exact copy of the original universe. So, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
The potential you have here. So we no longer live in a society. Effectively, you wouldn't, because the original universe would slowly be depopulated as people get annoyed. So it would start with like two countries would be like at war with each other, and they're about to reach the precipice, but then cooler heads prevail, and one of the countries decides, okay, we're just all of our population, we're just going to leave. We're just going to go to an alternate universe and leave you this one. Bye. Right? But then it would sort of get down to smaller conflicts. So you've got two like rival companies, and they'd say, you know what? We have a better market if we just open up an alternate universe where you don't exist. So we're going to go. And then it gets down to like two people have a really big argument, and then it just gets down to like you stubbed your toe or like, anything. You dropped your pen. Like you could have an auto universe generator, like where anything inconvenient happens, right? I drop my pen, that event triggers the creation of a new universe where I have a pen again. And it's just like, like you could have insane amounts of just uncohesion here. So, yeah. If you haven't, I mean, it just sort of makes sense. The only reason why there is a society is because you have a group of people, you have a set of humans, the 7 billion of us, and they are confined to one planet. That creates a society. And even once we got to Kardashev 4, you have a set of people, and they are confined to the range of the observable universe. It's a much larger range, but they're still confined to it, and the result is a society. However, now you have a set of people in an infinite, unbounded universe, one way or another, or multiverse or whatever. That means that there just cannot be a society. Like, it just cannot sustain itself. There's no, like, pressure. It's like in space, if you have a balloon, the gas will stay in the balloon. But if it pops, the gas will all disperse and just head in opposite directions out into space. So, yeah. So then finally, day in the life.
Just regular surfing.
Oh, yeah. If that's what you want, you could do it. Yeah. You can make a surfing planet.
That'd be cool.
A surfing
all
universe.
Wave planet. That's nice.
You could make a surfing universe. Think about it.
You could do like the
surfing universe.
Mario Space Party.
Mario Space.
You make the actual game board.
Yeah. You could do anything. That's the Kardashev Omega.
Yeah.
But it might not be physically possible. So take it with a grain of salt, right?
Yes.
Kardashev 4 was the only one that's like definitely possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it.
That was the second half
Final
of the
thoughts.
Kardashev Scale.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing we broke that episode in two, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Because this part was 2 hours. The last part was 3 hours, so that would have been 5 hours long.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. I just love talking, don't I?
Yeah, man. This is such an interesting topic.
Yeah, it really is.
It is, it's hopeful, and
yeah,
I would say it's more hopeful than anything else that we can keep advancing and getting to these levels, and we get to see what happens with like life extension technologies. I know I would like to stick around, see
Yeah.
what the vibe is for the next however many years. Check it out. Check out the technologies. Look at the discoveries. Be like, oh, I should have thought of
Yeah.
that. You know, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
I want to see the
That would be
first.
so funny. I mean, imagine if Newton was still around today in
Yeah.
like 1905. He'd be like, "Oh, why didn't I think of
Yo,
that?"
Albert, dude, and it's even Albert Einstein's
Yeah.
birthday, and we're dissing him.
Oh yeah,
But
it's Albert
yeah,
Einstein. Yeah, Albert Einstein Day, Pi Day,
yeah.
daylight savings, all these different things on the same day.
We could live to actual Pi Day where it's March 14th. Then the other digits of pi was
It's like
159. So
oh
ten
nine.
thousand five hundred ninety
Wow.
two.
500.
You know what I mean.
Whatever.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be fun. But
Ultra
all
Pi Day.
this is super super interesting.
Yeah. Definitely. So I hope you guys enjoyed these last two
Yeah,
episodes.
if you didn't catch the first one, definitely check that out.
Yeah, go back and see it. You can have your Quentin Tarantino movie or whatever.
Yes.
So yeah, that's it. So
All right.
thank you guys all for coming. This was fun. I love talking about this
Yeah.
stuff.
Really interesting.
Next episode's also going to be fun, but also
Yes.
a little depressing.
Yes, it's the final
Next
episode
episode.
of Space Season. This season has
Yeah.
been fantastic.
This has been the best. This has been so fun. I mean, every season we've said
Every
it's the best
every
season,
season is
Yep.
the best season.
Yep.
The newest season is always the best one.
Yeah. That's got to be like Molino's law, right?
Molina's.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really interesting. Civilizations at the end of time. We're going to talk about what would happen if they don't figure out entropy, if they don't fix entropy like they do in this episode.